has not been to great success.
Yeah. Lulu's still available here as a defensive option for the Zeri down here on the bottom side, but it's not required at this point. I think we don't know what the jungle is just yet. You might want to save your support pick for later, try to draw some bans on that one, and go ahead and pick up a strong jungle here for Cuz. And, I mean, Lulu, if you wanted that one for sure, regardless of the enemy jungler, you do have to get it here, and they will go for that. As both the Poppy and the Trundle, which can make huge impacts for the Lucian Nami lane, are still available. And KT definitely going to be taking a closer look at those two champions here, because you don't want to be losing control of top side with Renekton picked here first for Damwon Kia, and then also there's strong dive on the Lucian Nami lane. You're trying to get prio in on bottom side.
Yeah, a lot of strong junglers left available with none of them banned and none of them picked. Even Vi as well, Wukong still on the board, so could just see it disband totally out down the line. Could also take away some choices from Rascal if they did want to give Bertle a little bit of an easier time on this Renekton, as the Ornn will be taken off the board. Rascal did do a nice amount of roaming on that pick in one of the last times we saw him on that.
Can't ban both the Sejuani and the Gragas, but those are probably the picks that Rascal is thinking about right now. In the past, you'd love to see Gangplank in a situation like this, but on this patch, he's just not very strong. The nerfs to his barrel damage make it very, weak in terms of what his damage output used to be in the late game with the composition like what they're running here as KT. This is a smart ban because of obviously we're seeing Canyon and Showmaker flex this pick very successfully. Fate really being the only other player who's doing this.
Yeah, it's great with Renekton as well.
Yeah.
So if Canyon picked it up, that would be a pretty insane duo for pressure in the top side.
Really curious to see if this is going to be a Sejuani or Gragas ban here. It will actually be the Skarner, which is so good, but you could just pull him in. We'll see what this is, especially with the Emperor's Divide post 6. And even blind here, it doesn't feel weak in any way. It's great for team fighting, and you have so many ways to
try to that is brave enough to pull out the weird stuff, but maybe not for game one. Just go ahead and pick up the strong Viego, as you mentioned, with their composition. This does leave the Wukong picked up by Canyon.
Flank angles here for his damage out, because just straight up the ability to delete the Zeri with the high Wukong Renekton pylon. When there's no Ornn here either for disengage, does feel very much like KT. If the position, hold my words here, for your power is a 0
with the V8 and back,
and one of these Sejuani with
go up. Here we go, and the dancing begins right at minute 1.
It's so interesting too if Bertle, the storyline point you mentioned about them being former teammates, of course Bertle playing behind Rascal, and now he's subbed in over Nuggery, who's also more accomplished than both of these players. If he then defeats Rascal, with playing these strong side champions, it keeps drafting for that. It does feel like there's almost a revenge storyline here for this player who could say, yeah, actually, I won in the end.
It feels like a Danny angle, too. Like the whole shot calling thing for your former Challenger player that did not play even in Challengers in summer and then now randomly comes out in playoffs. Like, it does feel like an angle where he's like, you go get him, like trying to pump him up in some new and funny way.
Yeah, no, I could kind of feel that. And his first strike, by the way, we have to mention for
ありがとうございます。お疲れ様です。
as of late, will give you a lot of extra gold income passively throughout the big game too. So already starting to pick up some of that as we speak. And the top matchup, obviously, for Sejuani, if Cuz hovers up there while Canyon tries to make impacts bottom side, it can become easier for the Sejuani as time goes on. They both did take Demolish, of course, so getting a lead up there will lead to turret plates. So it's very important for Bertle to actually maintain control of the top side for as long as possible, but also still respect the Viego set up CC with the Ignite taken on Sejuani. 5-2 is Canyon on this Wukong pick. You know, people have criticized his performance, I think, mostly because he's not living up to his own standards, not because he has been a bad jungle player this season. But you can see on this pick, he's still very strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you get World's MVP, and then you come back for this year in summer, and you're just like, oh, we're going in for a big trade. His life is going to take a huge chunk of damage. But yeah, when you go from that to, you know, a guy who's slightly above average in the LCK, like, that's still great to be slightly above average in the LCK, but, you know, not compared to being a world MVP of the finals. As Ruler is the only one to win this matchup so far, and Ruler possesses something that not a lot of other AD carries have currently, as Lucian and Nami have lost 8 games in a row.
Deft, unfortunately, 2 of those there on that list. We saw yesterday he right for heroic attempt. Vikla.
Oh boy. Chains are going to land. Vikla is so dead. And that's going to be Canyon picking up first blood with what seems to be the red buff. And just like that, so easy.
Showmaker is also the type of player who plays so much around his emotions and how he's feeling about a game. We've seen him angry when it's going early, stuff like that. And him getting a lead like this in game 1 in the series is so important for, I think, his mentality going forward. As he gets that pick onto Vikla there with Canyon, Chains connect, really nice setup gank. Cuz going to look for revenge here. See how greedy Showmaker gets.
He's not using distortion, so Showmaker can just distort out.
25 gold. That's the revenge.
Got him.
Obviously, Canyon had to sacrifice a lot of his jungle to make this happen, so you could see a pretty significant lead here for Cuz, who will get double scuttle. So much around his emotions and how he's feeling about a game. We've seen him
so he's picking
unfortunately,
as possesses something that not a lot of other AD carries have currently, as Lucian and Nami have lost 8 games in a row. To be slightly above lead as life here in summer. I mean, that's
been a bad jungle player this season, but you can see on this pick he's still very strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you get World's MVP, and then you come back for this year in summer, and you're just like, oh, we're going in for a big trade. His life is going to take a huge chunk of damage. But yeah, when you go from that to, you know, a guy who's slightly above average in the LCK, like, that's still great to be slightly above average in the LCK, but, you know, not compared to being a world MVP of the finals. As Ruler is the only one to win this matchup so far, and Ruler possesses something that not a lot of other AD carries have currently, as Lucian and Nami have lost 8 games in a row.
Deft, unfortunately, 2 of those there on that list. We saw yesterday he right for heroic attempt. Vikla.
Oh boy. Chains are going to land. Vikla is so dead. And that's going to be Canyon picking up first blood with what seems to be the red buff. And just like that, so easy.
I think Showmaker is also the type of player who plays so much around his emotions and how he's feeling about a game. We've seen him angry when he wants to go home early and stuff like that. And him getting a lead like this in game 1 in the series is so important for his mentality going forward. As he gets that pick onto Vikla there with Canyon, Chains connect, really nice setup gank. Cuz going to look for revenge here. See how greedy Showmaker gets.
KT のイメージだと、ボットの2対2は勝つよ。イジでレーニングして、ライフが大きく体力取られちゃったんで、
And his focus is definitely reactionary at this moment in time. As Vikla gets very greedy here.
もう本当は先手で相手にボールさせたかったまで。けど、ミッドのプレッシャーもないしで、られたしで、ボールさせられたが正しい。
Should be okay. You know, it's just the 1 kill and the assist going the way of Showmaker. And he did set that up very nicely, as you pointed out. Flash first to get the chains on. As this bottom lane, this is part of the reason why Zeri has been able to shore up the match. A lot of times in the past, it was Zeri kind of just being pushed out and taking unfortunate trades. But with the Enchanter support such as Lulu coming in and helping out in the 2v2 makes it much easier to get through this lane.
Yeah, we saw a lot of times melee supports just could not get it done, but the Lulu especially was kind of the tech that we saw. We were seeing a lot of first pick Lucian destroy Zeri in the early part of the season because we were just seeing not Enchanter supports. Then it was like, oh, okay, Enchanter's something else.
Gold
might be dead again.
He did see this one coming. He's still not going to take a great trade. Electric
振った後の
He was backed up in the lane because he's
オートバックレギュラーっつってまただけに
from there as Cuz is going to look to set this one up. Might be able to force a clone out, but no, Canyon's just going forward. Has the mid laner Showmaker coming on over as now Cuz is on the
ディエゴな
run.
んだ
And it looks like he should get away fine.
Yeah, they had bottom side prio, but not enough to rotate over, and Duckdom and Kellen just pin them down when they see the trades happening there in the river. Showmaker's going to crash this wave in, only cost about a CS for Vico. They'll take a back timing here, and so far, this draft is working out as Dom1 Kia planned, but we haven't seen our first objective fight just yet. And, with the lack of control both of these two teams have right now, I don't think we'll see an early Drake take, as, at the moment, Rascal is actually basically not only surviving in this lane against Renekton, but kind of trading back very nicely. This is a lane we haven't really looked at too much, and the reason is because Birdall isn't doing much on this Renekton, and it's not a good sign usually. Here we go, though, level 6.
Hey, you sparked it out as the Dominus is used, but Rascal is still going in there. He has Ignite, and he's always going to get the advantage in these trades because of that. As the Ignite does come out, he's not quite going to get the kill, but that's why, the second the Renekton oversteps his bounds, Rascal is right there.
He took Merc Treads, and Bomby Cinder is available. Meanwhile,
aiming a huge chunk of damage onto him as Cuz is
最初の幕なし
nearby. The bubble onto life, though, is going to be quite nice. Canyon, though, can't quite join the fight because Cuz got the jump on him.
And
これファーストリコールした後の
teleport advantage, so
があるんでヘリが勝たなきゃいけない
kind of an awkward spot, might even get his back delayed, as we see on the minimap. He does get his back delayed, does not have teleport, is sitting at like 10% health. Birdall is now going to take a big swing in this lane. Taking a trade like that seems silly if you don't consider the teleport advantage, but if Rascal is now stuck up here, struggling to back, and you get control here, things can really swing in a big way. As he will buy a Mana Crystal here. that is all he's going to get. Now the Renekton starting to show.
Yeah, this is what usually happens with the Renekton. Sometimes it's just an orange standing there desperately trying to stop him from getting demolished procs. Sometimes it's a Sejuani maybe taking an overexcited kind of, I shouldn't have said that word. An over-aggressive kind of trade. And then, losing 2 plates anyway. So, yeah, definitely a bit unfortunate for Rascal.
Yeah, and
he got a bit aggressive in this lane.
It's all it takes. You get control for just a moment, plates go down. And it doesn't even have to be because Rascal isn't there. So you get that much of a lead, and you just push the Sejuani away from the turret and don't attack him, take the plates down. It's not a massive lead, and it hasn't led to anything just yet, as KT will still have the opportunity to take first Drake on the bottom side while that attention is top there, and can still set up for prio here on this Rift Herald. So usually Renekton gives you a little bit more control of this top side objective, not so much this time around.
Showmaker coming on over. Rascal kind of being left alone as Cuz is desperately trying to kill a big raptor as in goes the polymorph, and the timing is perfect. Canyon goes in and gets demolished.
That was so beautifully played from Cuz. Meanwhile,
aiming. He's barely going to live. That bottom lane totally dominated by DK at the moment.
Life doesn't have 6. No wild growth here, but I think they have enough control over this objective. Even Showmaker a little bit timid on coming over and looking for a pick. And the power of Emperor's Divide in this team fight for KT is enough for them to say, I think we have the War of Attrition fight in our favor if they actually hard commit. They sneakily send Life up alone while aiming holds the turret. He nearly gets killed there by the culling coming out from Duckdom, who will get some plates exchanged back. But getting control of this Rift Herald here for KT is a great start for them because they already have Drake prio. They can hold this one for second Drake. And that's more impactful than Lucian getting this gold here when your Zeri is going to naturally scale up later on. On previous patches, you'd say, oh man, this is so good for Dom1. Look at the lead that Lucian has. The Zeri will never recover. On this patch right now, definitely feels like this favors KT because they had that Drake. If they don't have Drake, you still favor Dom1 here. But the fight just doesn't actually occur because KT have better control of this choke point, and they have that Emperor's Divide. As this is Canyon taking the trade, which leads him to go down low when Cuz executes, of course, with the all-in.
Look at the timing of the polymorph. It's right as Canyon goes in, and then he can't get out.
結構際どいけどな、ここ。
He had Smitey at the phase, right? It's just the
際どいけどな、結果オーライっちゃオーライだけど。
It's like the assassin Lulu comes in is like, nope, I'm just gonna press my W.
アムワンからして結
And you just don't get to do anything.
KT も際どいんで。
Right there for the alley-oop.
コントロールワード全然持ってないから。
Bottom side.
ヘラルドファイト普通ない方がいいんだけど。
So many plates going into the hands
過去追いかけて。
Already 3 on the top side, already 3 on the bottom side, and we still have 3.5 minutes. So they didn't get the Rift Heralds, but still a lot of value picked up by them in some of these lanes.
The biggest resource that KT are looking for in this early game is time, and the Rift Herald is going to, or theoretically, will lead to. Okay, hold that thought. Cuz coming over. This is a 4v3. Potentially. Nope. Not going to happen. Because actually, Birdall did not have the ability to come down there. I thought he did. He's just over here pushing these waves in. But going back to the point about time, the Zeri is going to be very strong later on, especially once she hits her third item. In this game,
Chains coming in. That's a very nicely timed Emperor's Divide. Not going to allow Canyon to do much. And because Cuz is right there, they will not overcommit.
Birdall always lurking.
Yeah. That's that residual vision. Birdall's going to have to be careful about that. Actually, they had a ward right there. So they knew exactly. I was tricked by Jonas Strong. As it was, of course, Damakia did not have the vision. Vikla taking a rough trade already. As this LeBlanc is going to be so key as the game comes along.
Yeah, it certainly is. And like, that's the really big scaling aspect of Damwon Kia's comp, actually, is, yeah, Lucian can scale up well if he's played correctly, but it's the fact that there's a LeBlanc that can also threaten single targets that makes the Lucian even stronger. Showmaker going to take some damage as he trades back. Hey, whoa, they want this.
Canyon is extremely aggressive on this pick, but
Showmaker no.
On that one.
I did have his Cyclone available, but doesn't want to try to force that. Would, of course, be using his Cyclone right before the subjective fight as well. Vikla doesn't have teleport, so you can see he's shuffling his way down here. I think this is a Drake that if Damwon Kia could take, they'll feel pretty good about their positions in the lanes right now. Cannot let KT get 2 Drakes of buffer for the Zeri to then have that extra 10 minutes of time to pick up a third item and then start to be annoying with Extendo Beam later on in the game. And it's a 1-1 kill game, so you really do need to make sure that KT has the least amount of time possible to avoid fights when you're at your strongest. No Gale Force up for the Lucian, but they're still going to look to contest and fight this. They have better prio. Vikla was not here.
Yeah, lots of positioning over this Drake right now, although aiming is really not sure about that one. Let's try to erase that from the internet, shall we? About that one.
Vikla was not here.
Yeah, lots of positioning over this Drake right now, although aiming is really not sure about that one. Let's try to erase that from the internet, shall we? As he's like, yeah, I'm Zeri, I could just get over the wall. Did not expect every single member of DK to be there, especially the CC coming in. And now this Rift Herald is, yes, it will get a charge. So that money will go over to Cuz, but none to Vikla.
And the point of the Rift Herald, the ideal situation with the Rift Herald is to try to buy some extra time and then break through these choke points and get that prio, but aiming is picked. The Herald times out has to be dropped near Wolves by Cuz. And so it comes in at a really weird and late timing here, so it makes really no impact. Gets a plate, it's kind of just lucky, to be honest, and that's not how they wanted to use this. And yeah, there'll be a little bit of extra power for Rascal here topside. We'll see if he can grab a plate. But this is exactly what Damwon Kia wanted. They stave off the Rift Herald pressure for the most part. He gets 1 plate here right before the plates fall off. And aiming getting caught there is pretty huge. Still, there's hope for KT in this game, but Damwon Kia just jumped right back into the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's really big. As we'll take another look at this pick, it's just no vision, and aiming's like, yeah, I'm full health, but I'm going to take the plants? Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I could probably get out. I'm Zeri, and then he even has to flash, and he dies anyway.
Didn't need the plant, get slowed by it, but I don't think that's really important at all in this case. Just, it was even more bizarre because taking that honey fruit makes him more vulnerable.
It's like he was trying to deny it or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, he's like, they might use this later against us. I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, definitely an interesting one, and one that Aiming would want to take back. But it did lead to the lack of play on the Rift Herald, and of course the Infernal Drake going the way of Damwon Kia. So each team got a very relevant Drake. An Infernal for DK is going to be huge. The Mountain for KT should be large as well. But now we have Ocean Soul coming out.
Hey, gank up your top side.
ケインとかバードと一緒。
Double dash from
壁越えてる際。アウト。
It's okay, it's going to be a nice amount of... Oh my god, where did he go? This Duckdom just finds the Zeri. Again, no flash used at the end of that trade, and he just dies.
Doesn't even need to use his Gale Force.
それもダマの方が強いっすね。
Has the burst damage there, it's a tidal wave, and he's dead. Easy peasy, and that should be the whole turret going down here. First turret blood over the Damwon Kia.
キャップだからとかそういう話じゃない。
Player for KT Rolster, their most important player they picked up this year, who's been so relevant in this meta, is actually
いやでも2レベルで取ったよりちゃんとスノーボールして。
that have given Damwon Kia such a massive edge.
This is starting off really well for the side of Damwon as here comes Canyon, finds a unique angle. That's a great Emperor's Divide though, hits them both.
That was so beautiful from Vikla. Doesn't have to flash. Still Emperor's Divide down now for Cyclone. Bit of a trade. Aiming is oh.
重要なところでこう。
Yep, see you later. Nice shield bow you got there. Would be a shame if I broke it.
やべえ、KT ビクラがなんとかしないと。ビクラがなんとかしないとつってなってる今。やべえ。
The chains are going to land, and Vikla does have that shield on the dash. It will be just enough, but you can see that Showmaker's getting stronger by the minute.
Yeah, and I mean, Vikla losing most of his health bar here means he's going to have to back, so it's still a huge win for Showmaker. It's not a kill, but it means that this is going to be Rift Herald Cryo going over the Damwon Kia. You lose your turret, you usually go mid as the AD carry, but Vikla needs to farm this one out.
これまたボットレーンの巻きからラスカルが無理してラスカルの KD が沈む。この KD。
Now her mid game is just not viable. Like, she won't be able to farm freely against Damwon Kia having all this vision. We talked about the Lulu, who's going to struggle to clear vision. She's got 2 control wards in her inventory right now, but she's so vulnerable that this is the exact scenario that KT did not want to have happen. Is a Zeri that can't farm lanes ever. Is going to have to sit under turret here in the mid lane. Viego is up here.
ローテーションしたけどミッドスーパー負けだから。
Feels like the only thing that KT have is their jungle, and yeah, Cuz is ahead. 4CS has a kill, but every other lane got dunked on, and the spikes were hit.
This is from Kellen's perspective, setting up the tidal wave. Just that easy. And then the second time, Stockdom dashes over the wall. Gale forces forward. Prox is passive. He'll take the money, gets all that extra first strike gold as well. Looking like a second item coming through here pretty soon.
Yeah, you can see already nearly 2,000 gold the lead for the AD carry role, which has been the key for the entirety of the summer. Zeri finally getting punished. It's almost cathartic to see.
The KT have Prio here for this Drake fight. Rascal's got a flank angle. If they could blow somebody up, that's their best chance of taking a straight up 5v5. They're trying to bait it.
Okay, they are going to try to 100-0 and they will. Vikla will scoop the kill at the exact right moment before the Drake spawns.
Such a brilliant play. They're baiting the LeBlanc in so hard there. There's no vision for Showmaker. He's blown up here. Damwon Kia going over to KT Rolster here in a 5v5 fight with Zeri sitting on that shield bolt. Azir also only on Crown. I don't think you win those, especially when they have Rift Herald on the other side. You get a pick though, and you get a free Drake. Will be at the cost of their turret, but KT will take anything they can to slow this game down right now. It's going to be an additional charge here on the Herald as well, which leads to inner turret gold. So still bad for KT. They got 1 Drake out of this.
Third charge?
Okay.
And there is the... Okay. Rascal comes in, sweeps that under the rug. So 2 turrets though to the side of Damwon Kia at this point in the game. That's a big chunk of gold.
Especially when you consider that LeBlanc can more freely look for picks around the map, but Wukong can now more freely dive, and Zeri's farming becomes much more difficult. We've already talked about how difficult it is for her to farm. As this is Vikla and Life baiting Showmaker into a distortion and just instantly 100 to zeroing him. Rascal's in there in the corner, has his ult. They just played around Vision so beautifully there. As this could be a nice dive setup. Lulu also here.
でもあれはセカンド仕事なんででも伴うからジャニーが結局R 食らったらハマるってその中ででもランはポッボットしたのはミッドワードに打つ
is really insane.
Yeah, I mean, the game might very well end if KT cannot ever get this Zeri to a third item, like which at this point in time doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But getting a free Drake like that means there's a little bit of extra time for that, and it comes at the massive cost of these turrets, which makes it more difficult for aiming to farm. So you can see how slow it is to actually get gold into this area. Has to wait. Taking the farm under the shell of an inner turret here at 20 minutes.
は取ってルシアンが勝ってるじゃないですか。ことはもうミッドレーンインナータワー下までインヒッタータワーまでミッドレーン押し込めるんで。もうマクロの話になる。バフの
It's a massive tidal wave going to hit Cuz as well. He has eaten so much damage. Wild Growth as well is going to be used onto that Viego. As KT will just say, nope, nope, nope.
戦ったらもう勝てない。
Back away.
Someone really forcing this fight on their terms while they're spiking with
items,
knowing that even with
この時間ちゃんとそのタワー取ったり相手のジャグ荒らしたりとか問題なく勝てる。ドラゴンは後からくっつくぐらいの。気をつけなきゃいけないのはやっぱビエゴとセジュアニのラインが強い。そこのラインだけなんです。ビエゴが回り始めてルシアンが一瞬で落とされるみたいな展開になると分かんない。あとはゼリの3コアかな。多分ゼリが3コア入ってもルシアンが勝ちますよ。対1なら。ただ集団戦のファイティングゼリがおかしいの。集団戦でゼリが捕まえられないとちょっと面倒くさいなぐらいだ。クロちゃん
You can see that KT is trying to get over here, get some vision on that, just to make sure it's not happening anytime very early on in the game.
Yeah. Drake's not up for another 80 seconds here, but you can see KT are absolutely posturing around trying to fight for soul. It's not great.
ゼリのリコールが今見えましたね。
Oh yeah, I'd like to regen my health. Too bad it's going to disappear instantly by
出たら速攻でエンゲージ。
Rascal is really tanky, but can he get out of this is the question. He
does
have life coming over, and nope, they're just going to leave him to die. He was out here in the river by himself. They feed another kill into this Lucian as Duckdom might be finishing an IE soon.
I wouldn't be shocked if he went for Collector earlier.
There it is.
There's IE. And like, jeez, he went Rapid Fire Cannon and not Collector, which I think is better in this composition, but he for it because he's that far ahead. The enemy team is so squishy.
ゴールするのちょっともったいないかなと思うけど、今のはでも、でも IE 買った方がパワーが上がるって判断なんだ。ゴールちょっともったいない。これリコールしなかったらドラゴン周りの視界一切 KT 取れなかったんで、だけ我慢して絡み合いしてればワード壊す必要がなかったんです。なんですけど、ワーディングでワンチャンあります。相手が強いんだけど、視界の有利が KT あるんで、これ戦いますよ。ここはショーメーカーの仕事。強いんでルシアン守りながら戦う。ショーメーカーは決定的な一打を入れたい。
quite able to be dunked
TP が1キルさえ取ってビエゴが変身さえしちゃえばどんどんどんどん有利になる。ワンチャンね。
Showmaker? Just say his name.
Showmaker? Yeah, he's there.
He got the crown.
He got the crown. That's pretty big.
いいね。
That's the Lucian right now. Only has 1,000 damage so far.
デリよりもビクラが邪魔だと思う。
KT are really making a big
Showmaker's
stand over
got.
this.
He's playing with Vision so well. They don't know.
They don't know about this.
完
And look
璧。
at that wombo combo. Immediately, the Sejuani is going to eat all of the damage, and they kill the clone. That's all that KT got. They got the Wukong clone. And that's, you know, going to be the Sejuani down. This is generally what happens to the Sejuani when she's kind of all alone as the tank.
It's
You're
so
behind.
it's so beautiful to see Showmaker after he was led into Vision once this game and then
ここで問題だったのがやっぱリコールしたことで何が起きてるか。
his hands is KT.
アムアンがドラゴンは勝ったけどミニオンのロストがないんだよ。
When there is no Vision.
本当にルシアンリコール我慢してれば
It's Vision towards
ミニオンのロストがここ発生したんで、もうドラゴンファイトなんて簡単にドラゴン取れてた。もったいないですよね。
Just no way to spot this out. Speaking of which, there's just no vision on the map.
Oh
None.
no! He's dead again! Or he is going to flash. He's basically dead. The Zeri does nothing in this game. It's just non-existent.
It's crazy how much of a lead this Lucian has. Rapid fire cannon as well helping him out here. Is they just don't have any idea Kellen is here.
Kellen's got so many angles this game.
Incredible what he's doing with the tidal waves. Like the top side fight, the all-in of the aiming, that second kill.
Yeah, the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not much this comp could do from behind as KT.
Yeah.
It's just hoping for Zeri to eventually get an IE. Now, the fact that she's still been able to get 240 CS is kind of a miracle. It's taking a long time. She's getting it slower, obviously. She's farming under.
まあでもシャッターブラウンはね簡単に剥がせる。
know about Wukong, but that is kind of a no, actually the Viego as in goes Vikla, but again this is of course a LeBlanc because Canyon is coming in. He just wanted to say hello and you know maybe give his life on the way, but no, he's just going to back away from this one. Now Kellen has been really good, but there is something we need to address.
レネットバードルマジ
I saw a lot about this
勝ってる側だろうが
The E that she puts onto her allies does not work off of her
勝ってる側がミニオンロストさせられてるのと
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all.
Not, you know, I would love to hear the explanation from the Korean players as to why they keep doing this, but from our understanding and the math behind it,
It's not
doesn't
good.
make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So
my guess, to be totally
負ける
honest,
かもです
I think you're probably on the same page as me. Someone thought it worked in solo queue, and then
Yeah.
it was a recommended item.
and,
And
or they just saw that someone was building it and they're like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So everybody else built it. So pretty much in the same vein. From our understanding, it doesn't make sense. So, if
あ
someone
ラスカルうめえな
know, that would be good.
I mean, look,
Or let us know if they're, you know, if some Korean player gave some explanation.
the single target damage of that Aqua Prison.
マジジャングル荒らせてないのが問題なんだよな。レネクなんでウルフとかグロンプとか食わんのボット
All the magic
何してんの
on KT's comp. Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad
ようや
you
くブル
brought
ク
this up, because it is
ボッ
important.
トレーン押してないからプレッシャーないんだよ
Saw this, but
ダムアンは、まあ、今ミッドレーン押しててルブランがあの位置でレネクトも同じ位置でミニオン押してりゃ
I have to say, I think
トップとボットにスライドができるからプ
in terms of
レッシャーが生まれるのに
chances, they need
レネクトンがボットを押さずにジャングル
extensions. They need
これ次のローテーションでき
maybe they pull his
守りやすい
cycle out, they could win a 5v5 fight miraculously.
アジールがトップクリアしてセジュニがボット行って
Scenario
アジールが消えてセジュニがボットクリア守りやすい
This wave that life is prepping for him. He's like, I need
ロストが発生し
Do not take any of those minions. Just prep them for me. I'm gonna clear this as fast as I can.
Yeah.
He's halfway there. He's halfway there. But without that, he cannot fight in the neutral. And that's what they need is that extra poke damage from the extendo beam.
It's times like these
外したんじゃないの
we had, you know, especially in the LCK where we get these lull states, but there's one character that desperately needs an item like an IE. where we had like a countdown timer, but instead of a timer, it's actually just the gold.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can't talk to the observers and say, hey, switch over to the gold real quick. We want to see how much gold aiming has, how close to see the IE. But I would love if it's like, okay, 600 gold left.
Yeah, like the ping, when you ping an item, like how much gold is needed.
Yeah.
Basically that would be amazing.
I would love to see that. But
I think he's probably within like 1,000. I think probably less than that at this stage.
yeah, I would imagine like maybe 2 or 3 waves.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
ノグリ LPL 行ってたから
I like that.
これが普通だと思ってることができないのがイライラしてんじゃねえ。
You know, you see Cuz and Lifer over there in case of a skirmish. These types
あ
of
とノグリ自身が変わる可能性もあるよ。
It is going to be Nasher's tooth this time around for extra poke
Yeah.
in the fight.
And we were talking about how proactive Damwon Kia were being, and they were before the last Drake, but the last 5 minutes since that Drake, we've kind of just been sitting around. And
ま
that's
たミニオン
not
ロ
very
ス
good
ト
for Damwon Kia.
されてます。
Like, they have a really huge... Oh, okay, we're just doing Baron.
Yeah, I don't know about this. No IE yet for the Zeri.
KT の方がマクロがいいっすね。
Damwon could actually maybe even hold aggro here.
序盤のレーニングはなんかダマンの方がうまいかな。
I honestly don't blame KT. If it goes unseen, that immediately gets you back in the game. And Damwon Kia aren't doing anything except...
ダマンここ勝負だぞ。
Point Ocean Break, like...
I'm kind of on the same page as you. I think there could have been a little bit more proactivity on.
これもう集団戦やって勝つしかねえみたいになってんの。
Exactly.
本当に。
Especially considering it's a
Wait.
Renekton and a LeBlanc who could sidelane super hard. Duckdown will get this for free, but you're just allowing Zeri
集団戦だとマジで
to get one more wave,
ワンチャンあるこれ。
waves here before the next fight on Baron that KT want to take, which is a much more impactful fight than the Ocean Soul Point for your composition. It's going to be useful, of course, versus the Zeri poke, so there's that, but it's the worst Drake in this meta, even with the changes and buffs to Elemental Drake. Slightly less worse, but yeah, it's the worst one still.
You know where it's
い
really
や、
good
コール
is in
できてるかどうかって
you know, if
あれだから
if I
が
had
その納得
you know,
ができるか。
which I don't because we have just decided that it doesn't exist anymore. Just like
コールは誰だってある程度できるんだよ。
some one team did it and it worked.
他の4名が納得がいくコールかどうかっつうのが問題なんだよ。
So now it's just Damwon Kia sitting here
当たろう。
quite literally 6 minutes in a row.
バロン取ろう、視界取ろうとかは。
Yeah, it feels like I'm watching Kwangdong in a lot of ways. Showmaker gets the crown. That's massive for a 5v5 fight. IE is ready for Zeri, though. This is where KT make their stand. This is the fight they've been waiting for. Damwon Kia are like, yeah, we'll just let you have it.
Okay, Lucian quite fed. Nice little amount of poke on him.
LDR definitely going to be hurting Rascal here.
Yeah. And, you know, Nasher's Tooth completed. Infinity Edge completed.
Hex Drinker for Cuz. Quite significant, actually.
He got it, yeah. And now everybody on the side of DK who doesn't have any armor.
守りやすくて楽だな。へいっつって、手ジュアリのプレッシャー生かして、アジールのポークへいへいへいっつってやってるだけ。ラスカルが、俺を超えられるのかっつってオラオラしてる、これ。ビクラがその後ろにいて、ルブランから守ってもらってポークしてるだけ。何もマクロしてない。もう KT はまあ負けてる側なんでこれでいいっす。断線強い。もうウーコンのエンゲージ、ちゃんとビクラが今、ウーコンのエンゲージアルティメットで拒否して。これでいいっす。これでもう相手入ってこれないんで、ゼリに。ゼリが集団戦で入ってこれなきゃ、捕まんなきゃもう勝ちなんで。ガンギレッスね。トップレーンのミニオンがトップインナータワーに到達したんで、KT が時間。グループアップしてくれるんだったら、もう望んでグループアップしますよ、KT は。ダムワンダメだ、こりゃ。マジであかんわ。
And that Wukong is not going to be able to frontline through sitting on one item. He's sitting on only the Divine Sunder. A stopwatch picked up now. He's just instantly out of this. And yeah, he lives, but who cares? Kellen gets half health by one Zeri W.
Yeah. And, you know, nothing against Amy, but he said that Bertle coming in was for the shot calling, right? But this looks just like the kind of incoherent play that we saw out of Damwon Kia.
いや、入れます、入れます。KT サイドは、ちゃんとフロント築ければ入れるんですよ。要は、ゼリかアジールが一瞬で落とされるのがきついんですよね。バーストは強くて、ウーコンが裏に入ってきて、波のある敷かれてる間に、こっちのキャリー、KT サイドのキャリーが一人落ちるのがきついんですよ。ルチャンのダメージが高いから。 だけど、もうそこすべてセジュアニがカットしてくれるんだったら、もう何でもできます。ルルがいるんで、なんといっても。で、一番怖いのが、ウーコンのアルティメットで3人4人打ち上がることだけ。ルブランのポークは結局そんな怖くないですよ、今。セジュアニがポークする場所をこう潰してくれてれば。だからもうセジュアニがいればもう怖くないです、ほんと。これをタワー取るためだけのアルティメットチャンスです。今のはゼリがしっかり取ってない方向に行ってるブランドダメージくらい。これがミスポジションって。ちゃんとビクラはセジュアニに守ってもらえるように。ルブランとセジュアニの後ろにいるでしょ。ここもルブランが上側にいて、セジュアニが上側に取ってくれて、その後ろにビクラがいるから、狙えないんですよ。だからジールがずっとポークできる。カッタードクイーンクラウン外さなきゃいけないし、外した後にもう一回ルブラン、アジール狙うしかない。何が邪魔なんですよね。そのための、セジュアに剥がすためのレネクトンで、サイド押さないんだったら、まあ一生セジュアにそれグループアップしますよ。スティールワンチャンとかにやるしかない。キャニオン救世主。救世主。ありがとう、キャニオン。キャニオン。おかげで、なんとかなりました。あったな。まあ、これで集団戦強くなったんで、あったでしょ。ダムワンこれ1戦目、マジで。
Which is, the old Overwatch strat.
Oh yeah, feed it over to Showmaker. Probably a good idea.
I mean, this does mean that Lulu's not going to be up for a little bit longer here. They could just rush over to Baron and...
負けてますよ。立ち位置で負けてますね。そもそもゴールド勝ってて、ミッドレーンのインナータワーまで押し込めるじゃないですか。ゼリのアイテム差でルシアンが勝ってた。だけど、ドラゴンピット前のポジション取られるって、別に何もアクションしてないわけじゃない。この状態でポジション取られてるっていうか、もうマクロが終わってる。サイドを押して、ちゃんとジャングルの中入って、相手のエリア狭めて、相手がもうここに来れないよねっていうこの状態なのに、これをやってない。勝ってる、なんか、まあうまくやってるように見えるけど、全然うまくはいかない。
They get a fight on their terms, they take the Ocean Soul down, and they're able to pull apart this map and also take the Baron. So, certainly now, they were very passive for quite a while, but they found their angle, they won the fight, and now they get a big spike in gold, and maybe they can push the stands.
Yeah, this game has been really about who can make the fewest mistakes, and who will make the proactive call in those moments, and Damwon can't punish the Drake attempt here. And yeah, Rascal sidelaning has TP. There are some wards he could TP.
ノグリがいた時はこういう時ノグリが 1v1 でめっちゃ強くて絶対ワンレーン有利取るから他の場所もどんどん勝っていくできてるんだ。今も見たらわかるんだけど、勝ってる側がさ、ボットのもうインヒビタータワーまで見に置かれてるじゃん。で、8000ゴールドの有利がもったいないよね。ゴールドの有利があるってこと。3連プッシュで。できてね。だから KT どんどんワンチャンが生まれてるんですよね。
KT now need a miracle fight. Looked like for a moment they had gotten control back of the neutral with the poke on the Zeri. And now with vision control going over to Damwon Kia, we're back to square one. Let's see what Damwon Kia does with the last 90 seconds of this Baron buff. How aggressive will they
変わったのは
take
知
the
らん。
lead? If they just sit back, then KT get one more
チーム
fight
事情
on
でし
their
ょ。
terms potentially. They're actually hiding the vision from
僕が
us.
ツイッターで声明発表してくれんと。
And Canyon's going to be the first one to check, and he's got to be the guy because he can clone back. Nicely done as the follow-up here. Not able to get the crown out of Vikla. They have to be so crisp, the side of KT, because there's just so much burst on the side of DK. And that was really the issue on the Ocean Soul fight.
Yeah, if anybody gets caught, they're done.
But they have insane itemization now. Like, everybody's pretty much online. A Zingo Showmaker.
Look at that.
And life is just barely going to live.
Yeah, and this can happen to aiming. This can happen to Cuz. Straight up. I mean, he has a Malmortius online and a stopwatch, so it's going to be tougher to blow him up, but twice.
勝つでしょ。
That's a huge tool gone now defensively.
てか、
Showmaker
られないと。
still in there, being a huge menace as Duckdom nearly dies to Vikla. That is also the amount
タワー
of
が
damage
この
that
状
DK
況で
are
取れ
putting
ないっ
with the
て、
issue.
ダムワンさ
And the push is pretty oppressive here from the
ん。
side
ダ
of
ムワン
Duckdom.
さ
On this last turret, not going to be able to do so. DK still over the wall, making big plays.
Stopwatch still up here for Cuz is really huge. 4 seconds left on this Baron. And it looks like they've staved off the pressure for now. Can they actually look for a turn or a fight is the question.
Oh, there it is, the culling as Vikla is going to swish and hit only air with that one.
Really now going to be Damwon Kia having so much agency to just push this one through without the Emperor's Divide. KT on their last legs here, aiming where is that extendo beam poke, where is the damage?
Cuz trying to frontline now.
There's one. Kenny's just so tanky at this point.
And Showmaker's damage is really oppressive from ahead because it's not really
ああ、
much
結
he
局
can
エ
do.
ルダー勝負になる。
Showmaker really crisp with his distortions. He's not getting caught by any CC.
ワンチャン。
As the
マジワンチャンあるぞ。
In
ポーターあるからと。
there is one objective spawning in 30 seconds that all players will be able to group for us.
走れる。
The advantage here for Damwon Kia means that they will actually have
走れ。
I do not think there's
走れる。
TP could let this go, and they had TP for Vikla, so pushing that top
Okay.
lane, correct this in
あ、今急いでる。
without vision, so slow to rotate over, using extendo beam to check. You can see the vision is so oppressive here, and means that choke point control absolutely going to be Damwon Kia's here, and Showmaker could just constantly tease, he could constantly threaten, and there's not much recourse here. Shooting blind on this Zeri. The poke damage doesn't matter if you can't see.
あ、ワンチャンだ。
Because he has no idea.
ワンチャン。
Just fishing, just trying to get that vision.
いやー、KT よくここまで持ちこたえたぞ。
Of this train in the back there as they try to move in as a 5-man unit, but DK doing the right thing. They have
あるしかないもん、あるしかない。
mid, threatening the base and putting a timer on KT.
Great shot calling here from Birdall, making the choice. Showmaker's coming up too. They're just going to say, all right, you guys can have the Elder. We'll take the game.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to back on this one, I don't think, as Duckdom is getting the call. He nearly kills Vikla as the Wild Growth comes out, but look at the base. Down goes Vikla, rather.
Okay, it's
as
okay.
the Nexus
Ah!
gets this one. The
Okay.
tower is out to
あー、タワーがー。GG。
and they will take it down in 42 minutes.
Good old Elder for Nexus trade here in the final moments.